I'm so excited. Today is going to be a monumental time on this interview. I have a dear friend of mine, Pat Mesiti, all the way from Australia. Pat, thank you, thank you, thank you. You've been a friend for years, man. And thank you for being part of this
Hey,
new adventure for me.
Gary, I'm so excited. Every season has its increase, favor, and prosperity with it, and you're entering in a great season. I'm just delighted to be with you and working together again, empowering, changing people's lives. And you're
How many
looking
years do
fresh,
we, how
brother.
many
You're
years
looking
do,
fresh.
how many years do we go back, Pat? I mean, come on.
We go back, we're looking at years.
Yeah.
We go back nearly 40 years, Gary,
You,
1985,
and
right?
they used,
1986.
and when you and I worked together, they used to call us the Sons of Thunder from Up and Down Under. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we'll leave that alone as to why, but we'll just I prefer to think it's because we were very loud speakers. But
Very loud. Well, it's an honor to have you, bro, because you've meant so much to me, and for you to do this for me means everything. So
hey,
thank you, thank you,
I,
thank you.
I'm blessed. I'm honored. But I'm here to ask you some questions because people get to see Gary on stage. They get to see the best-selling author. They read the books. They listen to the podcast. But sometimes they don't get up close and personal. And is it okay if we get up close and personal so people can see it was like behind the magician's, screen as to what's really going on? So I want to ask you, Gary, how did all of this, global impact, reaching people, motivational speaking, podcasts, books, how did all of this get started for you?
Well, especially what I'm talking about today, because when COVID hit, I mean, it hit everybody different all over the globe. But I was speaking all over the country, just like yourself, and I was in front of live audiences.
Mm,
And I don't know about you, Pat, but when I'm in front of live audience, there's so much energy that comes
yeah,
back from that audience. You know what I'm saying? And you
totally.
feel the energy. And it's not just that, but you're walking around the hotel in the lobby and you're feeling the connection.
Mm,
And when COVID hit, within 2.5 days, I lost almost 2.5 years of bookings. All of
yeah.
my bookings, everything that I had planned for, 40 years of speaking unfolded like within 2 or 3 days.
Wow. But you
And
know what's
Pat,
amazing, Gary? In every crisis, there's opportunity. Every crisis is opportunity. We wouldn't be doing this today if it wasn't for that. Well, I call it the pandemic, but I'll leave it alone. But I don't want to upset people that don't
no,
know me.
that's okay.
But Gary, so you started this journey. How hard was it for you? I mean, we're in our 3 years of age, and how hard was it for you to have to upskill yourself into a realm we had no idea about?
And that's why I think what I'm talking about is so important for the people that are listening. Because, Pat, I'm going to be totally transparent. My life unraveled. Okay, I had just come out of two knee surgeries on the same knee. We lost $1 million property on the West Coast that we were going to use for restoring leaders. It was one hit after another,
Mm,
and I wish I could say that, man, nothing. I just barreled through. No, I went into a place of complete depression.
mm,
Where was the
mm,
motivator going to call to be motivated? So I
mm,
was in a living hell
mm.
for months and months. In fact, my wife Cherise would find me asleep most of the time. And so
Wow.
I didn't even have the energy to even answer a text. I just imploded, bro.
Mm,
And it was through that journey, and you said it, these crises create opportunity, but it was through that what I'm going to be talking about today happened. It was birthed in that the worst time of my life. That's when it was birthed.
Gary, it's what we believe in our worst moments. That's what we really believe. When everything's going great, everything's going good, the bookings are coming in, the money's coming in, everything's, the cloud that you, hey, that is not what you believe. Tell us about a little bit about that before we talk about the system. What was the belief that you held, even in spite of your depression? What was your heart saying? What was your head saying?
I love that. What a great question. I've always had a belief that I knew what my calling was,
Mm,
slash passion. You can use it simultaneously. I always knew that I had a call. I always knew there was something inside of me that I was called to do, and I was doing that. But this
Mm,
was a complete disruption. And what
mm,
happened, Pat, and this is why it's so important, I went back and I knew the call. I wasn't
mm,
confused. I knew who I was, and I was able to go back to that call. Was it easy? No. Was
mm,
it difficult? Absolutely. But when I got back to that center, suddenly I made the switch and I go, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing now.
mm,
Passion doesn't change, positions change.
mm.
Passion stays exactly the same. And that's what I was driven for. It was
One of
amazing.
the, one of the things that you're brilliant at doing, Gary, is you systematize and process ideas, concepts, ideologies, belief. Tell us about your system, because hey, McDonald's has got a system. Everybody's got a system. No, you got a system. And listen, folks, if you follow the system leads you to success.
I love
There
that.
is no, and you know what? System outpaces personality. Systems beats money. System beats skill. Tell us about your system.
Well, people, and the issue with most people who dive into quote unquote a system is they quit the system and then they
Mm,
blame the system for not working, but they've
mm,
got to stay with the system. So I've got four basic pillars that I use and I use for myself to get me from that place of depression to where I am today, which is heaven on earth, man. I'm telling you, I
mm,
still got my issues, but I'm telling you, man, this is the best time of my life. So here are the basic ideas of the system. Number one, you've got to know your passion. You've got to know your calling. So I have this thing called discovery and deployment method where I will actually show you how you can regain and find the one thing in your life that you've always wanted to be, not
wow.
do, but that you've always wanted to be. Number two, I talk about, because you could say, well, I know my passion. So I know my passion now, but what do I do about it? What do I do next? And so I talk about this idea of productivity, which
Mm,
is an activation system.
mm,
So it's one thing to know your passion, but what do you do with it? So
yeah.
I take you through the idea of here's the step you need to take. And I'll tell you, the area of productivity, this step is probably the most difficult because people don't want to get out of their comfort zone, but it's fun and it's innovative. Now, after you know what you're to do, and you've got that step, and you're moving towards that, then what's the next thing? And this is what people ask me all the time: Can I make money? Can I make money at this?
Great
Can I?
question.
Come on, right? I mean, is that the bottom line? Can I make a living doing what I love? And here's the idea of that whole thing: this idea of profit and awards. And it's a metric, it's a way we can measure. So I will show you in the system how you can make money. I am serious. Up to
Wow.
a six-figure day.
Wow.
Okay, now did you hear me? Up to a six-figure day. And then after you did, so now we have all the money. We got this money coming in. I've got great relationships coming in. Now, what what do I do next? And this is the end. This is what it's a cycle. It's called the pathway to wellness and joy. Not happiness, joy.
Mm,
Happiness is something you have to purchase. Joy, come on, Pat, you know this, is something that
I'm telling you.
wells up inside of you. You're
Yep.
laughing for no reason, you're smirking for no reason. And so once you find that pleasure, then it makes you want to follow your passion again,
Yeah.
and then your productivity, and it becomes this cycle, which becomes a cyclone. It's awesome. It's amazing.
You know, Gary, if people fall in love with your process, they get the pot of gold. People don't want to fall in love with the process. They want to make $1 million, but don't want to get into the process. They want to lose weight. Oh, I want to lose, 20 pounds. Yeah, but fall in love with the process. It doesn't fall off. Number one, no Krispy Kremes. I mean, come on.
Ah, come on,
But,
bro.
but you said something that was very, very powerful about comfort. And I've discovered that comfort kills income.
Oh, I love that.
Kills income. So, Gary, let me ask you, what holds people back?
Oh, what a great question. I think the number one thing that holds people back from any system, as well as my own, is time. They don't believe they have enough time to do what
Yeah.
they've got to do. So what they do is they spend all of their time knowing what they don't want to do, but they spend very little time investing in themselves on what they really want to do. And that's the thing about my system is it's knowing what you want, not what other
Mm,
people want for
mm,
you.
mm.
Because if you don't define your passion, your calling, somebody else is going to define that for you. And
Yeah.
so this is taking control of your life and going through a system where you can actually find who you are and move it forward.
Mm.
And in the time, you've got to put time is something that you grab a hold of with everything you've got. Trust me, I know that.
Yeah. Gary, and I know this is not a religious broadcast, but I'll tell you an interesting little story happened a little while ago. This guy says to me, Pat, I believe God would want you to do this. I said, dude, you can't tell me what God wants you to do for your life, but you're an expert on mine.
Yeah.
Sucker. I mean,
Oh,
seriously.
I think that's what I love about you, Pat. You take the mic, boom, you drop it right there.
But
Yeah.
see, here's the thing, folks. Nobody knows better than you where you want to be. What you need is a mentor to get you there.
Oh,
Because
that's good.
wealth and abundance happens at the speed of mentorship. Mentors give you wisdom without weight, knowledge with less pain, learning through the losses of another. And believe you me, this guy's had some ups and downs. You don't want to learn from your experience. You want to learn from his because yours is going to cost you more. But Gary, so what else holds people back? Do you think
Oh,
is it fear? Is it focus?
it's Pat, you and I've been in this. I've been speaking on passion for over 40 years. I wrote a book on passion. I have been like a passionaut for all these years. The other thing that seems to hold people back is fear.
Mm,
They don't believe that they can do it. They don't believe it's going to work for them because they
mm,
failed in other things and they go, well, this is too good to be true. And so they let
yeah.
their fear hold them back. And I tell them this unbelief is the most powerful thing that holds you back from and whether it's religion or not, when I talk about fear, it is paralyzed. You know
Oh,
that. It
yeah,
was a pandemic of fear, Pat. That's what was
absolutely.
happening, right? And that's what happened to me. That's why
Mm,
I'm so passionate about this because man, during the that whole time of the pandemic or the fear demic or the whatever demic, I'm telling you, it got a hold of me. It gripped me to the point where I was paralyzed from doing anything.
mm,
But I knew my passion, I knew my calling, and I was able to go back to that and retool my life. So
mm.
when I tell people, when you wake up in the morning, you get to choose your fear or your faith. And when I'm
Yeah,
talking about faith, and you alluded to this, I'm so excited. Faith is believing in something bigger than yourself. You will
totally.
not improve by yourself. You need other people.
And fear and faith are two sides of the same coin. They're both belief systems. And Gary, so when you get into someone's, let's say, psyche, soul, mindset, what do you find is a blockage? Is it their belief, or is it fear, or is it voices in their head that just cause them
I,
to get stuck?
I'm going to go to me now. I'm going to use me as that person because I want to be in my system. I try to be as transparent as I possibly can.
Mm,
I I didn't know where I was. I was so depressed and so exhausted and so confused that I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to call. Plus, I was suspicious. I felt like a failure. I felt like I didn't know direction. I felt like, and they were telling me, well,
mm.
Gary, you get to do Zoom meetings now. And honestly, Pat, I demonized the Zoom meetings. I said, oh, I get to look into a little dot in a computer and that's what I get to do. So the very thing that I'm doing now, the very thing that I believe in now, is the very thing I was demonizing. And
Yeah.
I think we get these inner dialogues that are absolute lies. And
Mm.
until you get around people like a Pat Mesiti that can speak into your life, a Gary Zelesky that brings truth, you're going to continue to wallow in that inner dialogue that is absolutely untrue. It's untrue.
Folks, your life will rise to the voices you choose to believe. And just remember, the stream you drink from is a stream that's going to come out of you. And I know Gary Zaleski, he is a well. Matter of fact, he's like a fire hydrant of infectious, contagious passion that can extrapolate. If you could have got there on your own by now, you would have. This is why you need Gary Zelesky. And I'm not saying this because he's my friend. I'm saying this because I've experienced it. I've seen him in front of our crowd. I've seen him affect like a contagious disease of positivity and faith, and extrapolate the David inside that rock.
Yeah.
So Gary, how can people learn more? How can people get a hold of you? Where do they contact you? Where do they get a hold of you and engage with you in mentorship?
Well, we have an event coming, okay? And here we go. It's a virtual event. I can't believe I'm even saying that. I'm actually coming full circle, Pat. Finally,
Wow.
right? It's a virtual event coming in November, but if you want information, I'm going to be providing a link that you can go on and makes it so easy to do. And it's a 4-hour event. I dive into a lot of stuff. I unpack a lot of things. And I will tell you this, and I hear this all the time. Well, Gary, what is it going to cost me to do this? Here's the question I had to ask myself. What will it cost me if I don't do it?
Correct.
And I think that we're in a time, Pat, especially with you and I, that you've got to step out of your comfort. You've got to do something that's going to be a little bit different. And here's what I can guarantee you this, that it's going to be fun, it's going to be challenging, and it's going to answer some questions that you've been asking yourself that you think you're the only one going through it. You're going to find out that the things that you've been going through are the things that a lot of other people are going through. So I can't wait to have you come to the event.
Guys, click on that link, follow Gary, absorb from Gary. I know it's going to change your life. Gary, it's always great to see that beautiful smiling face.
Well, Pat, listen, you've always been one of my heroes. And again, for you, when you said you'd help me with this, I was overwhelmed because I know you're busy. I know your schedule, but more than that, I know your heart. And thank you. You are my hero. And I think we did a great job. What do you think?
Well, Gary, all I want to say is you're only human. Thank you.
I love you, Pat.
God bless you, everybody.
All right.
Click
Talk to
on
you
the
soon,
link.
man.
Listen, you're never going to learn from the seminar, the webinar you don't attend. Click on that link. Action is the bridge to success. God bless you.
Oh, I'm going to leave it right there. Thank you, Pat.